Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and I'm going to be doing an Infernity deck profile. So I'm really excited for you guys because you guys have been requesting this one a lot recently down in the comments because of all the support we got out of Ghosts from the past too. This deck is a really fun deck to be able to play because you can actually loop your copies of Infernity Archfiend over and over again to get a bunch of different searches and set up some insane fields. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like in your name description every single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing one copy of Infernity Archfiend, which is the best card in the entire deck. It's currently at 1, so we can only play a single copy of this card, but it has the ability that when you have no cards in your hand and you draw this card, you can reveal it and special summon it. And when this card is special summoned, if you have no cards in your hand, then you can add one Infernity card from your deck to your hand, which is an extremely powerful effect because you can loop this card over and over again to be able to get multiple searches in a turn and establish some really crazy boards. We then play a single copy of Infernity Patriarch. Infernity Patriarch is a good one-of in the deck because it has the ability, if this card is the only card in your hand, you can special summon it from your hand. And you can only special summon Infernity Patriarch once per turn this way. And then while you have no cards in your hand, if an Infernity monster you control would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can manage this card from your graveyard instead, which is a really good effect. We then play two copies of Infernity Necromancer. This card is basically a walking monster reborn, one of the cards you're going to be using to loop your copy of Infernity Archfiend over and over again because it has the ability that when it's normal summon, you can change this card to defense position. And then while you have no cards in your hand, this card gains the following effect that once per turn, you can special summon an Infernity monster from your graveyard except another copy of this card, which is a great effect to be able to constantly bring this card back over and over again and then bring back your copy of Infernity Archfiend to be able to search from the deck all your really powerful Infernity cards. We then play two copies of Infernity Wildcat. Wildcat is a good 2-of tuner for the deck that lets you special summon this card from your hand by sending one other Infernity card in your hand to the graveyard. And you can only special summon this card once per turn this way, and then while you have no cards in your hand, you can banish an Infernity monster from your graveyard and increase or decrease the level of this card by 1 into the end phase of the turn, which helps you go in for a bunch of different synchro plays. We then play a single copy of Infernity Conjurer. Conjurer is a good one-of in the deck that has the ability that while you have no cards in your hand, monsters your opponent controls lose 800 attack points. And then while you have no cards in your hand, and this card's in the graveyard, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field, which is a really good effect to be able to just get this card back, especially combo with your copy of Wildcat. We then play two copies of the new Infernity Sage. This card is a card I actually consider playing as a 3-of because it's just so good in the deck because it's a Fiend tuner for the deck that's a level 2 that has the ability that during your main phase, you can discard your entire hand, making it so you can start your 0-hand combo. It also has the ability that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send an Infernity monster from your deck to the graveyard, and you must have no cards in your hand to activate and resolve this effect, and you can only use each effect of this card once per turn. This card is a great 2-of in the deck. I did consider bumping it to 3, but currently 2 has worked out the best for me. We then play a single copy of Infernity Avenger, which is just a really good tuner for the deck to be able to combo with your copies of your Infernity Necromancer and Archfiend so you can go into your copy of 100 Eyes Dragon, which is a really good combo piece for the deck. We then play two copies of Infernity Mirage. Infernity Mirage is a great card for the deck. It has the ability that this card cannot be special summoned from the graveyard, and if you have no cards in your hand, you can tribute this card to be able to special summon 2 Infernity monsters from your graveyard, which is usually going to be your copy of your Necromancer and your copy of Archfiend so that you can get more searches from the deck. We then play a single copy of Stygian Street Patrol. Stygian Street Patrol is really good because you can manage it from your graveyard to special summon a Fiend type monster with 2,000 or less attack from your hand, which is always going to be your copy, or usually going to be your copy, of Infernity Archfiend so you can get more searches. We then play 3 copies of Tour Guide from the Underworld. This is the best normal summon in the entire deck, because when this card is normal summon, you can special summon out a level 3 Fiend monster from your hand or deck, which is a really good effect to help you link summon into some really powerful cards. We then play a single copy of Fiendish Rhino Warrior, which is going to be the card you're usually summoning to your side of the field off of Tour Guide, because when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send a Fiend type monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is usually going to be your copy of Archfiend Eris, which will then give you a search to be able to search out your extra copy of Archfiend, which is really, really good because if this card is sent to the graveyard because of a card effect or being destroyed by battle, you can add one Archfiend card from your deck to your hand, which is really good to be able to search Infernity Archfiend. We then play a single copy of Edgem Sabers because this card can put a card from your hand on top of your deck to be able to special summon itself from the graveyard, which is really good to help empty your hand. One copy of Jackalope, which is a really good danger card because you just reveal it in your hand. Your opponent randomly picks a card in your hand. And if you didn't discard Danger Jackalope, you special summon it to your side of the field and draw a card. But if you discarded this card, you can special summon a danger monster from the deck in defense position. And then finally, a single copy of the Danger Noodle or Danger Tsuchinoko, which has the ability that if it's discarded, it special summons itself. But if you didn't discard this card off its effect, you can special summon it to your side of the field and draw a card. So you're basically always going to special summon this card regardless if you discard it or not. It just depends on if you're going to draw a card or not. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing some really powerful spells in this deck. We're going to start off with a single copy of Monster Reborn because it's a great combo piece in the deck to be able to get any of your cards that you need in the graveyard back to your field. One copy of Foolish Burial to get the exact Infernity card you need in the graveyard when you need it. One copy of Upstart Goblin, so it's a 39 card deck. So it's a 38 card deck. We're playing a single copy of Into the Void so we can keep drawing in the deck so we can make the deck smaller and smaller so we can get to our combo pieces extremely quickly. And also Into the Void comes in very handy because at the end of the turn you have to discard your entire hand. We then play a single copy of Card Destruction just so we can get a bunch of cards in the graveyard so we can start comboing off with our pieces. One copy of 1-for-1 so we can summon out our copies of Avenger or any of our other level 1 monsters that we have in the deck. One copy of Change of Heart. Change of Heart is really good in the deck because you can basically just take one of your opponent's monsters and put it on your side of the field so you can combo off with some really good plays into cards like Soryuja, or even combo into some really good link monsters other than Soryuja like Appaloosa. We then play a single copy of Infernity Launcher. This card is insane in the deck, just such a good spell card that once returned, you can send an Infernity monster from your hand to the graveyard, and then you can send this card to the graveyard and then target 2 Infernity monsters in the graveyard and special summon them, and you must have no cards in your hand to activate and resolve this effect, which is a really good effect to be able to just get 2 of your Infernities back on your side of the field like Archfiend and Necromancer so you can keep going with your plays. We then play a single copy of Instant Fusion and 2 copies of Ready Fusion. These are basically here in the deck to help you get another monster on your side of the field, or in the case of Instant Fusion, you can actually summon out Millenniumizer Strict to give you a protection from hand traps, which is really, really good. We then play 3 copies of Void Apocalypse. Void Apocalypse is a really good card in the deck because it lets you discard a card and then send a Fiend monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is a really good effect to be able to just get any of your Fiend monsters that you need in the graveyard, while also getting a card out of your hand. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps, because the traps are extremely powerful in this deck. So we're going to start out with a single copy of Infernity Break. Infernity Break is really, really good in the deck because it has the ability where you have no cards in your hand, you can target an Infernity card in your graveyard and a card your opponent controls, banish the first target, and if you do, destroy the second target, which is really good just to help you pop a card on the field. I play a single copy of Infernity Suppression. Suppression is a really good one of now in the deck because if you have no cards in your hand, then you can activate this effect you can activate this card's effect that the turn this card was set, and when your opponent activates a monster effect while you control an Infernity monster, negate the effect, and then you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the activating monster's level times 100, which is a pretty good effect to be able to protect you in your plays. We then play 3 copies of Infernity Barrier. Infernity Barrier is absolutely insane because it has the ability that when your opponent activates a spell trap or monster effect while you control a face-up attack position Infernity monster and no cards in your hand, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. This card is really, really good in the deck, helps you out so much, and is so easy to search, and usually when you're playing this deck, you're trying to set all 3 of these to your side of the field to give you 3 negates on your side of the field, along with cards like Appaloosa, which gives you 7, and all sorts of other cards that you can play in the deck to be able to give you more and more negates and set them up with your copies of Archfiend. So that's it for the traps, guys, and the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of 100 Eyes Dragon. This card is really good for your combo because it takes a Dark Tuner plus a Fiend non-tuner monster to summon this card. And it has the ability that once per turn, you can activate this effect by banishing one level 6 or lower dark effect monster from your graveyard until the end phase of the turn. This card's name is treated as that monster, and you replace this card's effect with that monster's effect, which is really good, especially to combo with Mirage, so you can tribute this card on your side of the field to bring back 2 Infernity monsters to your side of the field. We then play a single copy of Infernity Doom Archfiend. Doom Archfiend is a good one-of in the deck that helps out the deck a lot because it has the ability to once per turn target one face-up card on the field, negate its effects until the end of the turn, which just gives you an additional negate on your side of the field. And also has the ability that then, if you have no cards in your hand, you can destroy the card as well. And then while you have no cards in your hand, if this card battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage this card inflicts to your opponent is doubled. And a Dark Sinker monster that was summoned using this card as a material can make 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase, which is a really good effect, especially when you make it with your copy of Borreload Savage Dragon, which gives Borreload Savage 2 attacks and also a walking negate on your side of the field, which is really, really cool, especially when you put your copy of Soryuja's Skull Dread in the graveyard before you summon this, and then use this with Soryuja to give this 4 negates on it, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Herald of Arclight, which is just an additional negate in the deck and really, really good on your side of the field to just be able to put it on the field and be able to leave it there, so it has the ability that any monster sent from the hand or main deck to the graveyard is banished instead, which is really good to make this card last in your combo to make sure that all your opponent's monsters are getting banished. We then play a single copy of Flame Ghost. Flame Ghost is really good as a one-up in the deck because it's super easy to use this card with your copies of Ready Fusion. And then for our instant fusion target, we're playing a single copy of Millennium Eyes, which just eats hand traps, which is really, really good. One copy of Number 60. Number 60 is really good in the deck because it lets us draw 2, discard 1, bring a monster back from the graveyard to our side of the field, or double the attack of a monster to help us go in for game. We then play a single copy of 11 Air the Sea Dragon. Sea Dragon is really good because it lets us detach your material, then target a banished level 4 lower monster that's banished, and then special summon that target to our side of the field, which can help out a lot because sometimes we will banish some of our cards, and this card comes in very, very handy to bring them back to our field. We then play 2 copies of Soryuja's Skull Dread. You really don't need any more than 2 copies of this card, but the 4 effect of this card and the 3 effect are really good. That this card gains effects depending on the amount of materials that you put into it. So if you only use 2, if a monster is normally special summoned to its own this card points to, it gains 300 attack and defense. If you put 3 into this card, then once per turn you can special summon a monster from your hand, but if you put 4, then you can draw 4 cards and then place 3 from your hand on the bottom of the deck in any order, which is really good to be able to fix your hands while also searching for combo pieces. We then play a single copy of Appaloosa just to give us more monster negates on our side of the field, which is really, really good. It's super easy to summon this card to your field, and even usually really beneficial to summon this card to your side of the field so you can clean up some of the monsters because you special summon so much. We then play a single copy of Needle Fiber because Needle Fiber is a good combo piece in the deck. 1 copy of Cross Sheep. Now this card is insane in the deck because you can use it with instant or ready fusion to be able to put another monster on the field because it has the ability that if you fusion summon or a fusion monster special summon to his own this card points to, you can special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your graveyard, which can be your copy of Infernity Necromancer, which then will special summon out Archfiend, and then Archfiend will give you a search, which is really good. We then finally play a single copy of Cherubini. Cherubini is just a really good card because it can send level 3 monsters from our deck to the graveyard, which is just really good for combo. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really awesome deck. I really love Infernity. It's so fun to be able to play, especially playing with cards like 100 Eyes Dragon and just how nostalgic this deck is. I can't wait for the rest of the support to come out because this deck is just going to be absolutely insane. And hopefully on the coming list, we get our copies of Infernity Archfiend back to 3 because that would make the deck super, super consistent. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys on the next video. See you later, guys.